Hello everyone, this is going to be the second video tutorial on the drawing commands. In the last one we talked about line and polyline, and in this one we're going to just cover circle and arc. So like line and polyline, you can either click on the icon up on this top ribbon or you can type its name down at the bottom. The difference is that they both have these drop-down menus where you can click on different types of ways to make the circle or the arc. Mine defaults to center radius, so if I just click circle, it's going to ask me to build it by a center point and then tell it the dimension for the radius. But all of these kind of have their own situation where they might be best to use. So for center radius, what you'll do is either click on the circle here or type CIR or circle into the command bar, and it tells you what to do here, which is pretty helpful. It says specify center point for circle, so I'll just click, and then I can either just, if say like right now I'm like, oh, this is how big I want the circle to be, I can just click and be done. I don't necessarily have to give a radius. Or if I know for sure that I wanted the radius to be 120 inches, then what I do is click the circle again, or right now I can just click the space bar and it'll redo the last command that I was on, and then specify the center, and then I can type 120, enter. And then that's how the center radius circles work. Next, center diameter is just the same thing. You can click and either click wherever you want it to end, or you can click the center point and then specify a diameter measurement by typing it and clicking enter, and then it'll create a circle with that diameter. Next are the 2-point and 3-point. These I don't use as often because they're not as easy to make exact. The 2-point, you'll click a first point, and then you can either just click wherever it looks good and you can have it snap to another object if you have your object snaps on, or you can tell it the diameter. And so let's say 500, enter. And that's how that turns out there. And then 3-point, it's different because you will first click twice and then the circle will show up. So I clicked once and you don't see it, and then I click a second time and then it shows up. And this one's a little bit harder to be exact, I think, so I don't use it as often. But that's 2 and 3-point. And then finally there's these tangent ones, and these are pretty cool to use. So say for example you have a shape here, and you want your circle to touch all 3 of these lines. What you can do is tangent, tangent, tangent down here, and it'll have you just click 3 different points, and it'll be tangent to both of those. And what you can also do is tangent, tangent, radius, the one above it, and click, say I know for sure I want it to be touching these 2 lines, and I want the radius to be 700 inches. And then that's how that turns out. So those are all pretty nice to use, but I usually just stick to center and radius. I think that they're the easiest for me to think about, but these are all kind of helpful if you're, depending on the situation of what you're drawing. So that's circle. Oops. And then for arc, I used arc all the time for this class because here I pulled up a picture. For our hatches, what we're going to do is build the hatches, so the soil hatch with an arc, and I'll eventually show you guys how to do this too, so no worries if it sounds confusing or if I'm not completely explaining it. But what we'll do is trim the hatch by an arc, and we can either just do one arc or this S-curve like they have in this picture. So I'll just show you guys how to build those 2 kinds of arcs now. And then later I'll show you how to build it with hatching, but for now we're going to talk about is just actually building the arc. So let's say this is our box, and arc has this whole drop-down menu of ways that you can build it. I usually just use 3-point, and it's where you tell it the start, the middle, and the end. So because of that, I always build it out with guidelines. So make sure you have your snaps on. This is the little square here for snaps, and make sure midpoint is on, because for the middle point of the arc, you're going to want it to be even. Otherwise, if I was just building an arc and eyeballing it, some people are better at this, but I have a little trouble making it perfectly symmetrical, and so I always just build guides. So I'll do the polyline command, find the midpoint, and then go straight down and click enter. And then, oh, and by the way, the reason it gave me that green line was because I have the 90, 180, 270 on, by the way. So that's that there. And then I also do a second polyline that just goes horizontally across. Click enter when you're done, so that to show me where to start and end. So to do the arc, you'll click on the arc or type arc, and then type arc and then click enter, and then you'll click the first endpoint, the middle point, and then the other endpoint. And so that's how that would look, and eventually you'll hatch it in to look like that soil hatch, like in this picture. And then the other way, if you want to do this S curve, the way that I do that, you'll basically do the same thing but twice. So click enter, and then just draw another polyline here, and then click enter because I'm done, and then spacebar, and then draw another polyline. So I just drew two polylines, one here and the other here. That way it'll show me the midpoint of those two lines I drew. And you can use the mirror command, which we'll talk about in a further video, or we can copy it, or just draw another line from here to this midpoint. And so I'll draw the horizontal line now. And I know it looks a little bit like a mess right now, but I think these guidelines are really helpful just for getting started. And I like to make it pretty shallow, nothing too crazy. And then, so that's the first arc, and then I'll click the space bar to tell it I want to do the same command I just did. And then here, and there. And then I'll select all these guidelines, and then click delete, and then that's how that looks. If maybe one of your arcs are a little too steep, you can click on the square here, the middle square, and stretch it to make it look more even. But that's how to do the S-curve using two arcs. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if there's anything I can help clarify with anything at all, with any of these tutorials. Thanks for watching.